Okay, let's dive into this. If you've ever, spent time caring for a child, you absolutely know those discipline moments.
But yeah.
They can feel like just walking straight into an emotional storm. There's frustration, tears, maybe some yelling.
And that's just the adults sometimes.
Right.
Huh.
Exactly. It's tough, and it often leaves everyone feeling pretty drained, maybe disconnected.
It really can. And I think for so long, the way we've talked about discipline, it's been all about consequences, maybe punishments, or just finding that magic technique to make the behavior stop.
Yeah, we're just trying to manage the chaos, aren't we? But what if? What if there's really difficult moments, the ones we kind of dread?
Mm.
What if they aren't just problems we need to fix, but they're actually incredible, um, crucial opportunities?
That is such a radical shift. And it's right at the heart of the book we're looking at today. No drama discipline. The whole brain way to calm the chaos and nurture your child's developing mind.
Right, by Dr. Daniel Siegel, who's a clinical professor of psychiatry, and Tina Payne Bryson, a psychotherapist and a parenting expert.
Yeah, fantastic authors.
And our mission, really, in this deep dive is to explore their whole approach. It's built on some fascinating brain science.
It really is.
We want to look at how you can take those challenging moments and turn them into, well, not just teaching opportunities, but real chances to build connection, foster growth, and actually help shape your child's developing mind.
Because that's the core idea, isn't it? This approach totally redefines discipline. It's less about what you do to stop a behavior
Uh-huh.
and much more about what you teach and how you connect with your child to help them learn and, grow from it.
Okay, let's start right there then, this fundamental rethinking. We often use discipline and punishment, almost like they're the same thing.
Yeah, interchangeably.
Or we think of discipline just as consequences for messing up. How does this book challenge that view?
Well, they're really clear about it. Discipline is not punishment. The root word for discipline actually means to teach.
To teach.
Okay. So a discipline moment becomes a teaching moment. Instead of just reacting, knee-jerk, you pause and think, okay, what's the lesson here? What do I need to teach right now?
So when your kid is melting down on the supermarket aisle, or arguing about screen time again, or snapping at their sibling, the book says that's not just annoying. It's a prime teaching opportunity.
Exactly. In fact, they argue these are some of the most powerful opportunities we have to shape children. When emotions are running high, there's actually a kind of heightened potential for learning.
Hmm.
If you approach it in the right way, of course.
And this isn't just for parents, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, anyone who cares for children can use these ideas. Teachers, coaches, grandparents, nannies.
Anyone guiding a child.
Yeah, if you're a significant figure in a child's life, these insights definitely apply.
Okay, now you mentioned brain science. That sounds potentially complicated. How does understanding the brain actually help us change how we discipline?
It's actually surprisingly accessible the way they explain it. It's where things get really interesting. They introduce this whole brain concept.
Whole brain, okay.
Basically, the brain isn't just one big blob. It has different parts with different jobs. Think left brain versus right brain.
Logic versus emotion, sort of.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Left is more logical, literal, language-based.
Yeah.
Right is more emotional, intuitive, nonverbal. And then there's the downstairs brain.
That's the reactive part.
Exactly. Primitive, survival-focused,
Yeah.
fight, flight, freeze. And upstairs brain, the prefrontal cortex, that's where the thinking, planning, decision-making, empathy, all that good stuff happens.
Okay, so you've got all these different parts. What's the goal with them?
The goal is integration, helping all these different parts work together smoothly, like a team, a well-coordinated whole.
Ah.
I use the analogy of the body's organs, your heart, lungs, stomach. They all do different things, but they have to work together for you to be healthy, right?
Right. Makes sense.
When the brain's parts are integrated, you can respond flexibly, thoughtfully. When they're not integrated, well, that's when things can get rocky.
And the really amazing part is that this integration, it isn't fixed at birth, is it? It's something we can actually influence, especially in kids.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Thanks to this incredible thing called neuroplasticity.
Ah, neuroplasticity. I've heard that term.
It's mind-blowing, really.
Yeah.
It means a brain is physically changed by our experiences. You know the saying, neurons that fire together wire together?
Yeah.
Every time neurons activate at the same time, like feeling frustrated and throwing something, the connection between those neurons gets stronger. So repeated experiences literally build the brain's architecture. They shape it.
Wow. So how we interact with our kids, especially in those tough moments, the discipline moments, it's not just dealing with the situation. It's actually physically influencing how their brains develop.
Exactly that, which gives us, I mean, incredible power, but also responsibility,
Yeah.
right? To be intentional about the experiences we provide. Because these moments are high-impact times for wiring their brains.
And connecting that back to misbehavior. If a child is having a total meltdown or lashing out in that moment,
Very often, yes. Their reactive downstairs brain might have just completely hijacked everything.
floodgates open.
Yeah, the alarm bells are ringing, and the upstairs thinking brain is basically offline. They can't access impulse control, rational thought, any of that.
Okay.
And just recognizing that the misbehavior often comes because they're overwhelmed and dysregulated, not because they're just trying to be difficult. That shift in perspective is huge. It's a crucial first step.
That alone changes things, doesn't it?
Oh.
Okay, so discipline is teaching. Challenging behavior often stems from this disintegrated brain state. How do we actually do this? How do we put it to practice? This leads to their main strategy: connect and redirect.
That's it, the two-step dance. First, you focus on connecting with the child, making that emotional link.
Connect first.
Yes. And only then, once that connection is solid, once they're more receptive, then you move to redirecting them toward learning or better behavior choices.
And even before you start connecting or redirecting, there's something else, isn't there? A kind of foundational mindset shift. 3 questions.
Yes. Before you react, just pause. Take a breath, maybe, and ask yourself 3 things.
Okay.
1, why did my child act this way? Like, what's really going on underneath? What's the root cause or the unmet need?
Chase the why.
Chase the why. 2, what lesson do I actually want to teach right now? What's the goal beyond just stopping the behavior? And 3, how can I best teach this lesson effectively, considering, this child, this age, this specific situation?
I love that first question. Why? It shifts you, doesn't it, from feeling attacked or just frustrated to being more like a detective.
Yeah, a curiosity mindset. Like Sherlock Holmes for the soul, almost.
Looking for the clues, the root cause, not just the symptom, the behavior.
Exactly. Is it hunger, tiredness, frustration?
Yeah.
Are they lacking a skill, feeling left out, overstimulated? And considering their developmental stage is vital too.
Right. What you expect from a 2-year-old is totally different from a 12-year-old.
Absolutely. That curiosity helps you avoid just assuming they're intentionally trying to, push your buttons.
Okay, so you pause. You ask the why, what, how. You've reframed discipline as teaching. You understand the behavior might be coming from a brain that's overwhelmed. Now, step 1, connection. Why is connecting first so important, especially when, let's be honest, you might be feeling pretty angry or frustrated yourself?
It's absolutely essential because a child who is overwhelmed, who's stuck in that downstairs reactive state, they simply cannot learn or be reasoned with effectively.
Yeah, think about when I'm really upset. The last thing I want is a lecture.
Exactly. You just can't take it in. Connection does a few things. Short term, it helps move the child out of that reactive state into a receptive state. It calms the chaos so their upstairs brain can start to come back online.
Okay, so it makes them able to listen.
Right. And long term, consistently connecting during these hard moments actually builds their brain. It strengthens those pathways for integration, helping them learn to manage their own emotions over time. Self-regulation.
And it must do wonders for the relationship too, right? Building that security, that attachment, letting them know you're their safe place.
Totally. It provides what the authors call safe containment. The child learns, even when I mess up, even when I'm falling apart, my caregiver is here. They can handle this. They'll help me through it.
Okay, but here's the pushback you always hear, isn't it? If I comfort my child when they've just, thrown their food or hit their brother, aren't I just spoiling them? Aren't I letting them get away with it?
Such a common fear and a really valid one to address.
Yeah.
But they argue strongly. Connecting is not the same as spoiling.
Okay, how are they different?
Spoiling is more about giving kids everything they want, shielding them from any struggle or disappointment. That can lead to entitlement. Connection, on the other hand, is about meeting their needs.
Their needs, not their wants.
Right. Need for comfort when they're distressed, the need for support, the need for help regulating those huge feelings when they're overwhelmed.
So in that meltdown moment, maybe the need isn't really for the candy bar they're screaming for,
Exactly.
but for help managing the massive disappointment or frustration about not getting the candy bar.
Precisely. You're not saying yes to the hitting or the throwing. You're saying, yes, I see you are really struggling right now, and I'm here to help you handle this feeling. That actually builds resilience and emotional smarts. It doesn't weaken them.
The book also mentions being proactive with connection, too.
Yes. Recognizing common triggers before things blow up. They use that handy acronym, HLLT. Is the child hungry, angry, lonely, or tired?
HALT. Okay.
Often, just addressing one of those basic needs can head off the misbehavior entirely. And just being mindfully present sometimes, connecting before there's even a problem.
And in the moment itself, it's about how you respond, not just reacting on autopilot.
That's what they call response flexibility. It's that crucial ability to pause between the trigger, the child's behavior, and your response.
Take a beat.
Yeah, take a beat and choose an intentional response based on this child, this situation right now, instead of just reacting based on your own habits or your own stress or what they call your shark music.
Arc music.
Yeah, those internal Jaws themes,
Yeah.
those fears or past experiences that get triggered and make you feel threatened or overwhelmed by the child's behavior. Letting go of that allows for a more thoughtful response.
Okay, so what does connection actually look like in practice? How do you help your child feel felt, as they put it?
A lot of it starts with communicating comfort, and often that's completely nonverbal.
Okay.
Your posture, are you open or closed off?
Yeah.
Your facial expression, soft or angry? Your tone of voice? Getting down on their physical level. Offering a hug or a gentle touch if they're open to it.
Those little things send big messages.
Huge messages. They signal safety. I'm not a threat. I'm here for you. Think about a kid looking for your face in the crowd after they score a goal or finish a performance.
Yeah, that smile you give them.
That's pure connection right there. It says everything.
So nonverbals are key. What else?
Validating their feelings. This is huge. Letting them know you see and accept how they feel, even if you don't like the behavior that came with the feeling.
So you don't have to agree with why they're mad, just acknowledge that they're mad.
Exactly. Wow, I can see you are incredibly angry right now, or it looks like you're feeling really left out.
Yeah.
Just naming it, accepting it without judgment. Also, just listen. Really listen to understand without jumping in to fix or correct immediately.
Just hear them out.
Yeah, and then reflect back what you hear. So it sounds like you were really frustrated because your tower fell down. That lets them know you've heard them, you get it. It helps them feel understood.
There's that story in the book about Matthias and the Legos that really shows this connection piece powerfully, doesn't it?
Oh, it's such a great example. So the dad, Michael, walks in and finds his younger son, Matthias, has just totally destroyed his older brother's amazing Lego creation.
Oh no, parental nightmare fuel.
Totally. And Matthias is sobbing, clearly upset because he felt excluded from the game. Michael's first impulse, naturally, is probably rage, right? He sees the mess, thinks about his older son's hard work.
Yeah, you just want to yell, "What did you do?"
Right, that downstairs brain reaction. But he consciously pauses. He overrides that. He sees Matthias's genuine distress.
Okay.
So he kneels down, opens his arms, and when Matthias just collapses into his hug, he holds him and just says softly, "I know, buddy. It's hard."
Wow, no lecture about the Legos. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, just pure nonverbal comfort, just validating the feeling, it's hard.
And that was enough.
That was the bridge. That connection helped Matthias move out of that sobbing, overwhelmed, destructive state. He calmed down, felt safe, and then he could actually look up and whisper, "I spilt the Legos."
So the connection made it possible for him to even admit what happened.
Exactly. He couldn't hear a lesson. He couldn't take responsibility. He couldn't process anything until he felt seen, safe, and connected.
Okay. That makes so much sense. So after you've connected, the child is calmer, more receptive, and crucially, you are calm too.
Yes, that part's important.
Then you move to step 2, redirecting. And this is where the actual teaching happens.
Right. Now you apply that core definition. Discipline is teaching. You use this phase to help them understand what went wrong, maybe develop some insight, and learn skills for doing things differently next time.
And the book gives 2 key principles for this redirecting phase, doesn't it?
It does. First one, wait until your child is ready.
Yeah.
And importantly, until you are ready to.
Okay.
Don't try to teach a complex lesson when emotions are still super high or everyone's exhausted. That story about Nyla, the teenager caught on her phone late at night.
Yeah, I remember that.
The parents took the phone away in the moment, which was the immediate boundary. But they waited until the next day when everyone was calm and rested to have the real conversation about trust, rules, and finding a solution together.
Because trying to have that deep, rational discussion at midnight when everyone's tired and upset.
Yeah, recipe for disaster. More drama.
Right, definitely. Okay, so timing matters. What's the second principle?
Be consistent, but not rigid. Consistency is really important for kids. It provides that predictable structure, like guardrails on a bridge. It helps them feel safe and know what to expect.
Okay, but how is that different from being rigid? Because sometimes consistency can feel rigid.
That's a great question. Rigidity is when you stick to a rule no matter what, without considering the specific context or the child's developmental stage or their unique needs in that particular moment. It's just stubbornness, really.
Like, the rule is the rule, end of story.
Exactly. Like maybe refusing to comfort a child who had a nightmare because the rule is they have to stay in their own bed all night, no exceptions. That's rigid. Consistency provides safety, but rigidity can actually create fear or resentment. You need flexibility within that consistency.
So, responding intentionally based on the situation while still holding the underlying boundary or value.
Precisely. Intentional flexibility.
Okay, so when you are redirecting, teaching that lesson, what are the goals? What are you trying to help the child develop?
The book highlights 3 really important outcomes you're aiming for.
All right.
One is insight, helping kids understand their own feelings, their own actions, asking questions like, what was going on for you then? Helping them look inward.
Self-awareness, okay.
Second is empathy, helping them think about how their actions affect other people, building their ability to see things from someone else's perspective. The authors call this building mindset maps of you and we.
Seeing beyond themselves.
Exactly. And the third outcome is integrated repair, helping them figure out what they can do to make things right or learn from the mistake in a way that helps them grow and fix the situation.
Insight, empathy, and repair. I like that. The story about Roger and his daughter Allie at the playdate illustrates this well, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Remember, his daughter Allie was excluding her younger sister Katie from playing.
Right. Common sibling scenario.
Totally. And instead of just ordering Allie, you have to include Katie, which might get short-term compliance, but probably no real understanding.
And maybe some resentment.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Roger connected first. Then he guided Allie with questions aimed at those 3 outcomes. He asked things like, why do you think Katie might be upset?
Building insight into her sister's feelings.
Exactly. And then, if Katie could tell us how she felt right now, what do you think she would say?
That's empathy right there, putting herself in her sister's shoes.
Yes. And then he involved Allie in the solution. Okay, let's go up with the plan so maybe everyone can have some fun.
Integrated repair, getting her involved in fixing it.
Right. He wasn't just lecturing. He was actively helping her wire her brain to think about feelings, perspectives, and solutions. He was teaching those skills.
And the Nyla phone story used this too, right? Waiting until the next day.
Yes, by waiting and then involving Nyla in finding the solution. Remember, she was the one who suggested leaving the phone outside her room at night.
Oh, right.
That process helped her gain insight into her own struggle with that temptation, empathy for her parents' feelings, their worry, their need to trust her, and it led to integrated repair because she took ownership of the solution to rebuild that trust.
That's powerful when the child is part of the solution.
Absolutely.
Okay, so besides these big principles and outcomes, does the book offer some specific tools or strategies for the redirecting phase? Things you can actually say or do?
Yes, definitely. They offer several practical strategies. One is simply reduce words,
Less is more sometimes.
especially if the child is still a bit emotionally fragile from the connection phase. A simple, clear, firm direction might land better than a long explanation or lecture they just can't process yet.
Okay, good tip.
Another really useful one is reframe a no into a yes with conditions.
How does that work?
So instead of just a flat, no, you can't have that now, you might say, yes, you absolutely can watch your show right after you finish putting your toys away. Or, yes, we can go to the park, and we'll go this afternoon after lunch.
So you acknowledge the desire, yes,
Yeah.
but attach the boundary or condition after X or when Y.
Exactly. It makes the limit feel less like a rejection. It honors their desire while still holding the line. And it subtly teaches things like patience, delayed gratification, handling disappointment.
That's a clever reframing. What else?
Emphasize the positive. And this isn't about fake praise, but genuinely noticing and commenting when kids are making good choices or showing the behaviors you want to see more of.
Like catching them being good.
Kind of, yeah. But less about reward, more about attention. Wow, I noticed how kindly you shared your snack just then. Or, hey, I see you're really focusing on getting that homework done. Giving positive attention to those desired moments makes them more likely to happen again.
You're watering the flowers, not the weeds.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And then there's creatively approach the situation using playfulness, humor, Novelty.
Okay, like how?
Maybe instead of nagging a reluctant child to get to the car, you playfully chase them there. Or use a funny voice to give an instruction. A little bit of silliness can instantly break tension.
Hmm.
Humor is really powerful because it signals safety, the absence of threat. It helps shift everyone out of a defensive posture. Even something like playfully sitting on a teenager's lap for a second on a couch might get an eye roll.
Yeah, probably.
But it's often a non-confrontational way to make a connection and get their attention before you talk about something serious.
Those are really practical, usable ideas. And you mentioned involving the child earlier, too, asking for their input.
Yes, that's a huge one for redirection. Asking questions like, what do you think would be a fair solution here? Or, what could we do differently next time this happens? It gives them agency, makes them part of the process, avoids those power struggles.
And builds those insight and repair skills directly.
Exactly. They're practicing problem solving right there.
Okay, this all sounds, well, really good, ideal even, but let's be real. Parenting, caregiving, it's messy. We don't always get it right. We get tired, frustrated. Our own downstairs brain takes over sometimes.
And the book is so validating about that. It emphasizes that parents are human. You will mess up. Your reactive brain will take charge sometimes.
Here.
The key isn't about being perfect. It's about recognizing when you've gone reactive, ending that moment as quickly as you can to minimize any harm, and then this is critical, repairing the connection afterward.
Repairing, so apologizing.
Yes, absolutely. Saying something like, you know what, I'm sorry I yelled. That wasn't okay, and it wasn't the best way to handle that. Can we try talking about this again? That models taking responsibility and shows the relationship is more important than being right.
And remembering to keep chasing the why, right, that misbehavior is often just the tip of the iceberg.
Always. Don't get stuck just reacting to the surface behavior. Keep asking, what's really driving this? Is it frustration, exhaustion, fear, a need for attention? Are they lacking a specific skill they need for this situation? Addressing that root cause is always going to be more effective in the long run.
The book also flags some common pitfalls, things to watch out for, even if you're trying to use this approach.
Yeah, things like reacting based on your own emotional state or your own childhood triggers instead of what the child actually needs in that moment. Or expecting too much from them developmentally, expecting impulse control they just don't have yet, or consistency they can't always provide.
Getting sucked into those endless power struggles. Exactly.
Right.
Or disciplining differently just because other people are watching, performing discipline for an audience. Another big one is letting advice from experts, even great advice like in this book, completely override your own deep knowledge and instincts about your specific child.
So use it as a toolbox, not a rigid instruction manual.
Precisely. Trust yourself, trust your knowledge of your child, and adapt the tools to fit.
And maybe the most hopeful message woven throughout all of this.
I think it's that it is absolutely 100% never too late to make a positive change. Because of neuroplasticity, the brain remains changeable throughout life.
So even if you feel like you've been doing it wrong for years,
You can start now. Every single time you choose connection first, every time you redirect with teaching in mind, you are literally building new, healthier pathways in your child's brain and strengthening your relationship. You can start today with the very next interaction.
wow, this deep dive really offers such a powerful shift, doesn't it? Moving away from what can feel like constant, chaotic, reactive battles.
Towards a much more intentional, connected, and actually brain-building way of guiding your child through challenges.
It really is. It comes down to that core message. Connect first. Build that safety and receptivity. Then redirect, focusing on teaching those crucial life skills. Insight, empathy, repair, all grounded in understanding how your child's amazing brain is developing.
And the payoff isn't just, fewer tantrums or arguments in the short term, although that's nice too.
Definitely a bonus.
But the bigger picture is building a stronger, deeper relationship and really helping your child develop into a more resilient, self-aware, regulated, and empathetic human being.
Absolutely. So maybe as you finish listening, think about one recurring discipline challenge you face. A specific moment that keeps happening with a child in your life.
Okay.
Just picture that moment. Now, how might pausing just for a second to ask yourself those three questions. Why do they act this way? What do I want to teach? How can I best teach it? How might that change your very first reaction next time? And maybe, what's just one small step you could try next time that situation comes up? Could you focus on connection first? Maybe just try communicating comfort non-verbally. Or validating the feeling underneath the behavior. Or reframing a no.
Just one small shift. It feels like even that could start to change the whole dynamic, couldn't it?